it's Rochelle. This is the Inkloft Presents, and today I am so excited because I get to talk about one of my favorite authors ever. I hope you love it because look at this! I get to talk about King's Folly! So, this is King's Folly by Jill Williamson. And I've mentioned before how much I love Jill Williamson. She is an amazing author. And this is her newest project, her Kinsman Chronicles. The second book of the project, King's Blood, just came out. And what's really interesting about this project is that she's actually releasing smaller sections of them as ebooks more frequently. And then she's releasing more traditional paperbacks like this one, which combined 3 of the ebooks into one at a more traditional pace, which I think is really cool. I haven't gotten the ebooks, and I'll probably stick with the paperbacks because I love them, and this book is so thick. I am in love with how thick it is, and it's great. Anyway, so King's Folly is the first book of the Kinsman Chronicles, which are set in a fantasy land that draws a lot from Old Testament stories. When this particular book started, I could sense a lot of the story of Hezekiah from the Bible, but like Jill Williamson says herself, it's not particular. The whole thing isn't based on one particular Bible story. It's based on a lot of different things, and she really wanted to capture the atmosphere that Israel lived in when they turned away from God and turned to idols and turned to other religions and other cultures instead of staying separate like they had been called to. And that's really the crux of King's Folly. You have these 5 kingdoms, and they seem to be facing an apocalypse. There are earthquakes and floods, and everyone's beginning to talk about the 5 woes of prophecy. The problem is that no one really knows what that means, and if the 5 woes are coming true, no one knows how they're supposed to survive it. So King's Folly focuses on the royal prince Willick, who is the oldest child of Armania's ruler, who has turned completely to idols. Instead of worshipping the one true God, he worships several other gods, including Barthos, who's particularly bloodthirsty. He sacrifices his own children to Barthos in an attempt to appease the god. That is taken directly from Hezekiah's story. But Willick, as the oldest, is embroiled in an air war with his half-brother Janek, who is Willick's opposite in pretty much every way. Willick is much more sober, Janek is a partier, he doesn't really care about gods in general. Willick wants to lead the people, Janek wants to have a good time. Into this mix is also thrown Trevin, the youngest son of Armania's ruler, who is rapidly approaching his age day, but isn't really in consideration for the throne. Trevin literally couldn't care less about being king, or Tsar, as they call it. He just wants to have fun. His favorite thing is to run the roofs, and he's actually being groomed to become a priest. Anyway, so the story is told from the perspectives of Willick and Trevin. It's also told through the eyes of Miel, a young woman from the country of Sarkar, who have retained the purity of the Armanian religion that Armani itself has lost. The other side of the story is told through the eyes of Charlan, who lives in what are known as the Mother Realms. So in the 5 realms you have, or in the 5 countries, or whatever they call them, you have the Father Realms who worship Arman, the one god, loosely, as in some cases, obviously, and then you have the Mother Realms who worship Megania. And they basically broke off from the Armanian religion, and they have turned to mystics and magic, which is strictly forbidden in Armani and Sarkar. So you have this upcoming battle between the 2 of them. They hate each other, and then you have, these young people who are caught in the middle of it. So as the 5 woes get worse, each of these characters searches for a way to fulfill their destiny and the way they're supposed to go. For Charlan, that means getting drawn even deeper into the magic of her people. For Willick, it means searching out what in the world is going on as people seem to start dying who aren't supposed to be dying. He begins to uncover a conspiracy, and together he and Trevin see different sides of it. And it's just really interesting. I was really surprised by how much I liked this book. It's funny because when you first start reading it, it feels like Jill Williamson's writing. It feels like what I'm used to with her. It's her style. It's everything that I love about her. But it's not young adult fiction. King's Folly and the Kinsman Chronicles as a whole are intended to be adult fantasy. And you can tell by the darker topics that they deal with. There's a lot more about just dealing with violence and sex and a lot of different things. She creates characters who are grappling with some really dark topics that aren't really appropriate for younger readers. And I think she handles them really well, but it's important to understand that this isn't meant for the same audience that her other books are. I, for one, am totally cool with that because I don't really like young adult. I like stuff that's geared towards a slightly higher, older audience. And I got it with this, and I am so excited. King's Blood, the second book, just came out, and I think I'm gonna have to get a hold of it because the story is so gripping, and the characters are so interesting. They don't always make the right choices. I think that she really captured the different motivations and dilemmas that you would have faced in an environment like ancient Israel, when people didn't really know who to turn to and they'd lost sight of the one true God and the way that they were supposed to worship him. And she really captures that in this book. Albeit in a fantasy setting, you still get the darkness and the hopelessness and this mix of emotions and not knowing who to trust and trying to find which way you're supposed to go. And I think it's really cool that she's tackling topics like that, and I look forward to seeing how she takes those kind of themes and continues to translate them through kind of this fantastical lens of ancient Israel. So, I'm really excited about it. I hope that you guys will check it out because it's amazing, and it was so much fun and very engaging, and it takes a little concentration to follow just because there's a lot of different plot lines. But if you like fantasy, if you like Jill Williamson at all, you're gonna love this book. But as mentioned, I wouldn't really recommend it for younger readers just because of content. So, talk to me in the comments, guys. If you have read King's Folly or, continued with more of it, let me know. Let me know what you think about it. And if you do check it out, I would love to hear about it. You can catch me on Twitter or my blog or here or wherever. So, King's Folly by Jill Williamson. Check it out. Bye, guys.